Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today we're going to look at one of the absolutely most fascinating case studies in the entire world of fast-moving consumer goods. I want you to think about this for a second. How exactly do you take an unsexy, often totally embarrassing, completely functional human problem, literally flaky dead skin falling from a scalp, and turn it into a dominant, highly aspirational brand powerhouse? Well, Procter & Gamble did exactly that in India with Head & Shoulders, and I've got to say, the marketing architecture behind it is absolutely brilliant.
It really is a phenomenal question, right? I mean, how do you build a multi-billion-dollar empire on dead skin flakes? Most brands, they run as far away from the clinical and the gross as they possibly can, pivoting as fast as humanly possible to beauty, lifestyle, and glamour. But Head & Shoulders, they didn't run away. Actually, scratch that. They leaned right in and created an absolute masterclass in consumer psychology and strategic positioning.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to break this down systematically across 5 key pillars: the double-layered strategy, science and expert credibility, the psychology of confidence, pricing, portfolio and distribution, and finally, owning the scalp category. Let's get into it.
First up, pillar number 1, the double-layered strategy, where clinical cure meets beautiful hair.
So, what is their secret sauce? It's really their absolute refusal to compromise. Usually, in the shampoo world, brands have to pick a lane, right? Are you a medicinal cure or are you a beauty product? Head & Shoulders decided to be both. You've got this strictly functional need, literally just getting rid of dandruff, and then this deep emotional need of wanting attractive, confident-looking hair. They positioned themselves perfectly right in the middle, promising to give us both of those things at the exact same time.
Moving on to pillar 2, science and expert credibility, building the clinical case. To actually pull off the functional side of that duality, to convince people you're a real, legitimate cure, you have to lean heavy into scientific authority. Head & Shoulders doesn't just say, hey, we clean your hair. Nope, they explicitly call out pyrrotone as the active ingredient, and they even named the actual fungus, Malassezia bulbosa, that causes the dandruff. And this brilliantly illustrates how, by identifying a specific scientific mechanism, they totally separate themselves from those purely cosmetic or herbal competitors. The underlying message is crystal clear. This is targeted clinical science. But let's be real. Science needs a human face to be fully trusted. That's exactly why Head & Shoulders India proudly blasts the claim that 8 out of 10 dermatologists choose their brand. It seamlessly connects that hard, complex science we just talked about to a trusted expert endorsement. The consumer problem gets a scientific explanation, and then boom, it's validated by medical professionals. It's authority marketing at its absolute finest. All right, pillar number 3, the psychology of confidence, or the emotional funnel. Once that scientific foundation is set in stone, they bring in this incredibly powerful emotional layer, because they know they're selling way more than just a scalp cleaning liquid. Listen, dandruff is a massive trigger for deep social anxiety. It goes like this: visible flakes appear, which leads straight to a fear of embarrassment, causing a huge hit to a person's confidence. Then, when the consumer starts frantically searching for a trustworthy solution, Head & Shoulders steps right in. This is a masterclass in human psychology. They aren't selling you a cure for dead skin. They are literally selling you your confidence back. To really cement this emotional appeal in India, they use this ingenious little equation. They take high-profile, incredibly attractive celebrity endorsements and smash them together with that expert dermatologist credibility we just looked at. The result? A brand that is highly functional, but still super aspirational. The celebrities basically stop the product from feeling like some harsh, embarrassing clinical medicine that you'd want to hide in the back of your bathroom cabinet. Instead, it becomes something you actively desire to use. Let's move to pillar 4 and see how this builds into the business side: pricing, portfolio, and distribution. The mechanics of dominance. Now, all that brilliant psychology, it means absolutely nothing if the business mechanics aren't perfectly tuned for the local market. And the Indian market is fiercely price sensitive. So Head & Shoulders maintains this really clever premium mass position by using a pricing ladder of diverse pack sizes to capture literally every income bracket. Those tiny low-cost sachets are absolutely vital for driving trial and getting into rural markets. Then you have medium bottles for your regular recurring users, while the large bottles lock in volume and loyalty for families. It's highly accessible without destroying that premium image we talked about. Then we have their product architecture. They're definitely not just selling one generic shampoo anymore. They target highly specific micro needs. You've got Lemon Fresh for oily scalps, Sensitive Scalp for, gentleness, Cool/Fresh for a tingly sensory experience, and 7-in-1 for multiple benefits.
Going down this route of rapid diversification lets them cross-sell to everyone without ever diluting their core identity as the ultimate anti-dandruff experts. And of course, none of this works without omnipresent distribution. Backed by P&G's massive infrastructure, they make sure that whether you're in a giant modern supermarket, a tiny local pharmacy, a general trade store, or just scrolling on a quick commerce app, Head & Shoulders is right there staring back at you. In a high-frequency category like shampoo, availability directly drives the purchase. If you even think the word dandruff, they make sure their product is instantly within arm's reach. Finally, pillar number 5. Owning the scalp category. Let's look at the competitive landscape. So the crucial point is how Head & Shoulders completely outmaneuvers their competitors by owning one very, very specific concept. Think about the rest of the landscape for a second. Dove, they own nourishment. Sunsilk owns hair beauty. Pantene owns strength. If Head & Shoulders tried to step in and fight for the broad, beautiful hair category, they'd just get crushed in the noise. Instead, their competitive advantage comes from owning a specific problem. When an Indian consumer asks, which shampoo should I buy for dandruff? The automatic reflexive mental response is Head & Shoulders. They aren't just playing the game, they literally own the field. They successfully transformed dandruff from just a minor product attribute into an entire distinct consumer category that they own. But as you can imagine, this creates a real strategic tension. If they talk way too much about shine and smoothness, they risk losing their unique edge against brands like Dove or Sunsilk. But if they only talk about dandruff, they become way too clinical. Their entire success relies on constantly balancing on that razor's edge. Which leads us to their brilliant future evolution. Right now, they are strategically pivoting and expanding from being just the anti-dandruff shampoo into the scalp health brand. This is incredibly smart. It dramatically expands their total addressable market size to include things like itchiness, oiliness, and sensitive scalps, while still perfectly preserving that core scientific, problem-solving equity that made them famous in the first place. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought based on this masterclass of a case study. Look at your own business, your own industry, or even your own projects. Are you fighting a losing battle in a super crowded, glamorous category? Or is there an unsexy problem, a real pain point that everyone else is just ignoring, that you can step in, completely own, destigmatize, and transform into your own billion-dollar category? Thank you so much for joining me today, and keep looking for those brilliant strategies hiding right in plain sight. Catch you next time.